hold the Florida statute down to look at this, or more importantly, this has got to be transferred to Florida. You got to go to Florida to sue this trust, which is a real detriment to the lawsuit, isn't it? See, to sue a trust, you have to serve the trustee. So if Alex is my trustee and he's in the phone book, he's going to be pretty easy to find and serve. But if Alex lives in Florida, he might be a little bit harder to find and certainly to serve. So again, these are all just techniques to slow down and make it more difficult to sue you, which means they'll just go find somebody who hasn't done this and sue them, because most people who do these frivolous lawsuits are looking for quick and easy money. They don't like hard. Yes, sir.
So, I believe that Florida does not have income tax.
That's true.
So if you have California property that's been a trust in Florida, and you sell that property, at a gain,
Yeah.
then you have to pay federal taxes, let's say. You have to pay state taxes.
Yeah, you're going to still have to pay state taxes, because it's going to come back to where the beneficiary is located. And if you or ultimately, even if it's an LLC, it's going to flow back to you here in the state of California. Now, but let's talk about some benefits here to you Californians that maybe the rest of the planet doesn't have. You have a wonderful 3.3% sales tax on real estate sales, don't you? So, if you sell a garage is about $1 million here in California. So you sell $1 million garage that you owed $800,000 on. They're going to withhold at closing 3.3% of $1 million. How much is that? $33,300, right? That comes right out of your 200 grand equity that you thought you were going to get at closing. Now, yeah, you may get it back and you may not. Depends on when you file. As I understand, the state of California is not in a big hurry to give you refunds, but wouldn't you rather have that money yourself and then file and maybe pay it a year or 18 months from now? If you use a trust, you avoid that sales tax, is my point.
I'm not familiar with that in California.
There is. There's a 3.3% sales tax on real estate in California.
He
Now,
sold personal residence, he never ran into it. What's that 3.3 something?
well, look it up. It's not new, it's been around a long time, but look it up. Let's talk about another benefit for California. It was back in 72 or 73, somewhere along there, they passed the Proposition 13, was it? Where they froze your taxes and it limited the increase to a minimum 13, right?
Yeah.
So, you got in California, you got a $2 million house that little old lady and little old man bought 40 years ago for $200,000. That happens all over, doesn't it? And it's assessed for maybe $300,000. Maybe it's inched from $200 to $300 over the last 40 years because of Prop 13. If you buy that property, overnight the assessment's going to go from $300,000 to $2 million, isn't it? Which is going to kill your cash flow. In trots the trust to solve your problem. You have the little old lady put the property into a trust, which she has every right to do, which does not trigger the bill on sale and does not trigger reassessment. You buy the beneficial interest in the trust from the little old lady. That's a non-recorded transaction. The assessment stays at $300,000. We're talking about little jewels here that you're picking up. That's the second one. That's the second one. That'll save you thousands of dollars. Do you like that one?
That's one of my favorites. I just looking at a $2 million house the other day with a friend of mine.
There you go.
$25,000 tax bill.
There you go.
That could have been avoided, because the guy who was living in it, guess what his tax bill was? Based in 1976 when we passed Prop 13. Probably about $1,000, $1,200 a year.
Wow. So would have saved $23,000, $24,000 a year.
That's a big one.
Because of that
People
concept.
buying real estate now, it's the property tax.
Yeah.
I have a question to get
Yeah.
back to this lawsuit thing.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to pick at this a little bit, but I had a friend who had to go to court. First thing they did was, you got to list all your assets.
Right.
Find out if the court even wants to deal with it. There's no assets, they don't even want to talk about it. So they have you list all the assets. Am I going to have to list my land trust assets?
You would, yes, you'd have to put that you were the beneficiary of trust. Yeah.
So they're gonna see that big. like,
Yeah, but that,
pretty
you know,
little.
that occurs after a lawsuit is started. You know, they're already spending money, they've already decided that you're worth suing, you know, that's just not step one.
I see,
Yeah,
it's
that's-
stage two.
That's down the road to list your assets on a
This
lawsuit.
kind of keeps them from going deeper.
Yeah, we're trying to prevent the lawsuit from starting to begin with. Let's back up a minute. We said to sue a trust, you have to serve the trustee. That means you gotta hand him a lawsuit, right? What if you can't find the trustee? That slows things down a little, doesn't it?
Well,
Yes,
if you
Dan.
served Alex a lawsuit, and Alex came up and said, I don't own that property, and they said, well, prove it, he'd have to prove it was in Florida, and then it seems like the only thing would be, well, do you wanna go to Florida to continue the suit? Is that kind of what would happen?
Well, if we're talking Alex he lives in Florida, he's the trustee in
He-
Florida.
Well, he lives here in California, but he's got his trust in Florida.
Okay, well, they're not gonna sue Alex, he's the beneficiary. They're gonna sue the owner, and the owner is who?
You.
The trustee
Trustee.
in Florida.
But he would have to prove that he's not the owner. So once he did, they would have to then go sue the owner in Florida.
Yeah, but see, again, the lawsuit's gotta start against the owner, and, you know, I'm not the owner, he's not the owner. As the beneficiary, you own personal property, the beneficial interest in the trust. So they're gonna go after who's on title. They'll look it up in the courthouse record, they're gonna go after who's on title, and that's the trustee. They're gonna find him to serve him. Now, I've had 9 trustees die in the last 35, 40 years of using these trusts, just through natural attrition. When the first trustee died, I kind of panicked, and I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my property. The owner of this property is dead. And so it kind of scared me, and I sat back and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and nothing happened. And I thought, well, this is interesting. There's no dead trustee police out there. Nobody's looking to see who died. And it occurred to me, why do I need a live trustee? And there came to me a logical explanation, 2 answers to that. One is, if I'm financing the property held in the trust, which was a question earlier about how to finance it, I need the trustee to sign a mortgage, because the trustee owns it, right?
You used to be allowed.
And he needs to be alive to do that. Or you gotta get their hand going in a certain way. Or if I'm gonna sell the property out of the trust, I need him to sign a deed. If I'm not doing one of those 2 things, I don't need a live trustee, do I? Gonna back up here. To sue a trust, you gotta serve the trustee. You putting 2 and 2 together here? It's kinda hard to serve those guys that are 6 feet under, right? Okay? So in that example, the property stayed, I think, for like 15 years in the dead trustee's name until I sold it. And of course, your next logical question is, well, how did you do that? I appointed a new trustee 3 days before closing, and that new trustee signed the deed. That's pretty cool stuff, isn't it? You see, one of the forms you're going to get from me is an appointment of a trustee. You can hire and fire trustees all day, every day if it makes you happy. It's just a simple piece of paper to change your trustee, and to change the beneficiary for that matter. It's just a few pieces of paper, don't be intimidated. To form a trust, all you need is a deed and a trust agreement, that's all. The trust agreement is a contract between the trustee and the beneficiary. It's not recorded, and that's where you get your anonymity. It's not recorded anywhere on planet Earth. The only thing that's recorded is the deed, and the deed only shows the trustee's name, not the beneficiary. And this is the reason why lawyers don't like to sue trusts. They will if there's enough money involved, but they don't like to because they don't know the horsepower behind who the beneficiary is. Is it little old Randy Hughes, or is it a big, big corporation that's got a legal department with 20 lawyers just waiting to sue him back? He doesn't know, and lawyers don't like uncertainty. So we like to benefit from that uncertainty by creating a trust agreement that is not recorded anywhere. It's just between you and your trustee. So trustee and beneficiaries, it says the cost is zero. No cost. That's hard to believe, isn't it? You can do all this cool stuff at no cost. For you history buffs, there's a little bit of history. These trusts have been around a long time, and yes, they are legal in your state. You see, I didn't even put California because everywhere I go, I speak in different states. They're legal in every state. They're not illegal in any state. They're more familiar in some states than others, but they're not illegal in any state. This is one of my students. I thought you might like to listen to like a 60-second testimonial here. Let's see if it plays. But he took my class. Kind of interesting. Young man, lots of energy, no money. Teams up with, I live in Illinois where the University of Illinois is. And so he teams up with a retired professor of the University of Illinois who's old and tired but has money. So that's a good combination. Young guy energy, old guy money. And so they want to work together. But the old guy says, hey, I don't want all my assets to be at risk here by working with you guys. So here's what he did. Let's see if we can hear it. No, looks like we can.
It's a little squirrely setup in there on this.
Is it squirrely in here?
Well, it is a little bit. It's an older projector. It doesn't do anything at once, so you might have problems.
Oh, well, if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Sorry. Well, I'll just tell you about the testimonial because I got a couple more to go. 16 years ago, I started teaching land trust information to real estate people because people had heard that I was using them and they asked me to teach them, and so I started teaching live seminars, and then I wrote the home study course, a basic home study course, and then I wrote an advanced home study course. For those people who thought the basic was cool, they said, hey, can you teach me some more? So I wrote the advanced. You don't necessarily need the advanced, you may never want it, but it's really cool stuff if you get off on this kind of information. But the basic course is all you really need to learn how to create a trust and provide the forms for you. And 9 years ago, I created something I call the Land Trust University. And this is a membership thing that people pay $797 a year just to belong to it. And I do a monthly coaching call where we talk about privacy and asset protection, trusts and LLCs and corporations, inside lawsuits and outside lawsuits. It's a lot of really cool stuff. And they're all recorded. So the last 9 years worth of calls, 12 calls a year, that's a lot of calls. It's all recorded, and I've got it organized on the Land Trust University website by subject matter, so you can just go through and see what subject you're interested in.
Randy?
Yes, sir.
Got a question that might have something to do about that audio.
Okay.
Can your trust be used to wholesale a purchase to a buyer and seller that you never take title and never buy the property, you're just assigning that contract, and can it be used for a lease to own and also wholesale notes?
Yes, is the answer to all those questions. In fact, in the booklet I'm going to email you guys, did we get the form completed back? Okay. In that booklet, I talk about all those subjects, but is anybody in here right now doing contract assignments?
Yes.
As a way to make money? Okay. How about options or lease options?
Right here.
Same thing. These are great ways of making money in this business, guys.
Right here.
And
Notes.
notes.
And notes. The wholesaling of all of it.
So let's say you don't have much money, but you're a great negotiator and you can find deals. So you go out and you find a deal, you get it under contract, but you can't close it because you got no money or no credit. I call that a bird dog. You go out and find these deals, and then you come to a meeting like this and say, hey, I got this great deal, there's $40,000 of profit, you give me $5,000 today, and you can have the deal. The way you do that is you buy the property, you contract it for the property in the name of your trust, you make yourself the beneficiary, and then you go to Dan and say, Dan, there's $35,000, it's gonna take 6 months to close this deal, but there's $35,000, and if Dan agrees with that, he gives you $5,000, and you assign your beneficial interest to Dan. Now, Dan steps into your position as beneficiary and continues to close that deal in the name of the trust.
Now,
Works like a dream.
And that's great, and I think what I'm gathering, the way this is done legally, because you're not a realtor, you're not a broker, and they would say, oh, you can't get a commission doing that, is you never charge the seller, you only charge the buyer as a capital gain because you're marking this assignment up. That's how that's done legally.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a very easy, it's a form that I provide in the form section. It's called an assignment of beneficial interest. You can do it in 5 minutes. All right, whoops, stop. Let's go back to that. I wanted to break down the steps to creating a trust so you feel comfortable as exactly how this is done. The first thing you do is you create the trust agreement. So I'd give you a 34-page trust agreement, and in there are instructions, bold print instructions. If this is your situation, then do that. You fill in the blanks, you hit print, the trustee signs it, and the beneficiary signs it, and then you're ready to go. You're ready to put the real estate in there. For example, they had to build this building before they brought in the chairs and the tables, right? So the building is the trust agreement, and the chairs and table are the real estate that we're going to put into this trust. Yes, sir?
Is there a trustor?
Well, a trustor is the same thing as the person who creates the trust.
Right.
Yeah, and usually, but it doesn't have to be, usually the trustor, the creator of the trust, becomes the beneficiary too.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
But that's part of the document.
Yeah,
The trust agreement.
in the trust
Is
agreement,
that
right.
part of the deed?
Well, the deed is, that's our second step here, create the deed and trust. So let's say you own the property right now, and you believe what I say about separating assets, and you want to get it out of your name tomorrow. You'll be the grantor on the deed, and the grantee on the deed will be your trustee and trust. And you'll go trotting on down to the courthouse and record that, and that'll get it out of your name and put it in the trust name, that recordation.
Talking transfer tax and all that applies?
Does transfer tax apply? It is an exempt transaction. In LA County, I've got a copy of their form. It's like 2 or 3 pages where they get check the box, and you check the box that says going into a revocable trust. So it's exempt.
And it doesn't trigger a reassessment?
And it doesn't trigger reassessment either. Right. Okay? So second step, we create the deed. Third step, we record the deed in the county in which the property is located. Not where you live, not where the trust was created in Florida, for example, where the property is located. And then step 4 is you start sleeping better at night. I don't know if any of you remember the first time you signed a note, maybe $500,000 or $1 million, and you bought a piece of real estate and went home that night and thought, what did I do? I'm not sleeping really well tonight. Well, it's kind of the reverse of that. Yes, sir.
What happens if you have an existing loan? Does that change how it's created or different?
No, think of this, debt and ownership are 2 different things.
Okay.
Totally different.
Or no due on sale?
No due on sale. So there's the breakdown of step 1. We start with a good trust agreement. I provide that for you. It does have to have special provisions in it, which it does. You follow my instructions, you hit print, and then the trustee signs it and the beneficiary signs it. It's that simple. You keep in your records, you do not file that anywhere. Yes, sir.
Is there more liability if you do it incorrectly than,
Well, that's a great question, Alex, because what's really cool about these, we're talking about revocable trust as opposed to maybe an irrevocable trust, which is a different story. So these are revocable, which means you can change them. So let's say you create a trust today and you think, oh man, I screwed that up. I didn't, or you learn tomorrow about some cool poison pill paragraph you want to put in there. You just amend it. You just amend it. That's another form you get from me, is an amendment form. You amend the trust to today it includes this paragraph that it didn't have yesterday. You can change them on a heartbeat. So don't think you got to create the greatest trust in the world for the first time in your life. Just create one of these darn things and then keep learning and you can make them better and better as time goes by.
Randy?
Yes, sir.
And if we're signed up with your university, or whatever it is you call it, then we can email, contact you and say, hey, how does this work? Or is there a way for us to get support from you?
Well, that's a great question, and thanks for asking it. The Land Trust University was designed to give greater access to me and more support. If you go to my website right now, you'll see that it costs you $797 to belong to the Land Trust University. That's in addition to $525 for my course. When I speak like this, I offer a killer deal that you can't resist to get you to get my home study course today. And that is, I will give you a 1-year membership in the Land Trust University for free. $797, that's a pretty good deal. Just get the home study course, I'll give that to you. Support is everything. It really is. There are only 2 other guys that I know of in the United States that do what I do as far as teaching this. Both of them are attorneys. Bill Bronchek, you guys heard of him in Colorado? Nice guy, smart guy, but try to get him on the phone. It ain't gonna happen. And then there's another guy down in Georgia, I think. But you can't get him on the phone. Can you get anybody on the phone for service anymore in America? I can't. I can't get them on the phone, and I can't get them to return a message, especially after I've already bought something from them, right? That's not the case with me. I have my cell phone, no matter where I'm at, I've got my business line forwarded to my cell phone. So I'm answering my phone 7 days a week when my students call. I give service like you've never seen service before, ever. Yes, you had a question there?
Well, no, actually, I was just gonna say, out of all our vendors that we talk to, when I call you or I email you instantly, within, I mean, if I don't reach you right then, you do call me right back. So you are accessible.
Well, thank you. I know it's easy to say that, but from my viewpoint, it's nice to have somebody attest to it because it is true. And the bottom line is here, you're going to have some questions. You can't just buy this material and read it and say, oh, okay, and do it. You're going to have a question or two. Now, 98% of the questions you have will be answered by my course material, but you need support. And that's what I'm here for, and that's through that university. The other cool thing about the university is you get, not only do you get to get on those coaching calls that are recorded, but I'm the only guy on the planet writing a land trust newsletter. So you get that newsletter every bi-monthly. You also get a copy of this, my privacy and asset protection book. This took me 93 hours to write it. 25 years out of my life to research it. It sells for $97 on my website right now. As a member of the Land Trust University, which you get 1-year membership for free, you get this book for free. And the first person that gets the home study course here today, I'm going to give them a hard copy version. Everybody else will get an electronic version, okay? Fair enough. You also get my 50 states trust laws. I'll give you 50 Word document files, one for each state. So if you want to look up Florida trust law, just go to Florida, open it up, and everything I know about trusts in Florida is in there. Any trustee services, any attorneys to close a deal in Florida, any title companies to use. This is a tremendous amount of information that I provide for you and support. Okay, so that second phase was to create the deed. We talked about that and where to record it. If you're buying from a seller, which is the right way to do this, don't ever be in the chain of title. When you've identified a piece of real estate you want to buy, take title directly from the seller to your trustee, and you're never in the chain. That's the way to do this. Anything that's in your name now, get it out of your name. Anything you're buying in the future, buy directly into your trust from the seller. So in that event, the seller is the grantor and your trustee is the grantee. We said we're going to record that. Of course, you're going to get a copy of that. They'll either stamp it and give it to you right then, or they'll return it in the mail to you, right? You keep that in your records, and then we get to sleep better. My favorite step. All right, here's the funnel. You put each property in its own separate trust. 1, 2, 3. You can make your LLC, this is just one example of how to do this, the beneficiary of each of those 3 trusts. That means the LLC owns the trusts own the property. Then your living trust, which you brought up, sir, can be the successor member of the LLC. You don't want that living trust to own anything right now because living trusts have no asset protection and no privacy while you're alive. But boy, when you die, they're wonderful. They become immediately irrevocable.
So who owns the LLC?
So you would own the LLC. Your trustees would own the land trust, would own the property. You own the LLC as managing member, 100% member, or maybe you're a member with other people. And then, once you die, your interest would drop right down into that living trust. This is a great structure here, all right?
Do you, Randy, do you do the living trust as well? Or is that someplace else?
I don't do the living trust,
Okay.
but one of the bonuses I give you as one of my students is I will give you, I refer you to a friend of mine in Florida who sets up trusts, living trusts all over the United States, and they're state specific. So you need somebody that knows that state law as to how to set that up. This is a free consultation. As my student, I've arranged for a free consultation. You can talk to him. He also sets up corporations and LLCs all over the country. So it's a free consultation. And you can use them if you want to, or not if you don't want to. Yeah, Stasha, when you get a chance, if you'd hand out those the forms, please.
Is it beneficial to set up an LLC in the state that you're in, if you're going to own property in that state? Or have an LLC?
Okay, the question is where to set up an LLC, right? Now, I love California because it's only $800 a year here, right?
Right, it's such a deal.
So if you buy real estate and title it in your California LLC, you gotta pay $800 a year, right? A lot of people go to Nevada, don't they, in California, they set up a Nevada LLC? Now, if your Nevada LLC titles real estate in its name, you get the joy of paying Nevada franchise tax and the $800 in California, right? Paying twice. Now, follow me on this. If you form a land trust that holds title to property in California and make the beneficiary of the land trust your Nevada LLC, you're only going to pay Nevada franchise tax. Because the Nevada LLC is not doing business in California, the land trust is, and land trusts don't pay fees in California or anywhere else for that matter. That's the third idea that came to you today that is a great benefit. I just saved you $800 a year, didn't it? Plus you get the benefit of an out-of-state LLC. I mean, think about it. We're back to Alex. Alex is in Florida. I set up a Florida land trust with Alex as my trustee. The beneficiary is my Nevada LLC. Oh my God, what a mess. We're California property, a Florida a Florida trustee with Florida trust law dictating, and the beneficiary is in another state? We got 3 different states' laws here. Do you really want to take that on? That's going to be real expensive to figure all that out and untangle it if you're coming after it. Maybe you should just go on to the next sucker who hasn't done this structure, who's got real estate in his name, and sue him or her, because it'll make your life a lot easier, and that's exactly what they do. Now, out of that booklet that I gave out, and I'm going to send to all of you, I'm going to cover real quick 12 reasons to 12 out of the 50-some reasons that I picked out here. Avoiding probate. If your property's in a trust, you're the beneficiary, and you die, that interest immediately goes to the successor beneficiary and avoids probate. Probate is an expensive, time-consuming process for your assets to be passed to your heirs upon your death. Plus, everything that you own goes into the public record. Not real smart from an asset protection standpoint. That's why using these things is the reason why you never find out, why Jack, Benny, and Bob Hope and all those guys, all their assets passed to their heirs. That didn't go into the county record. They're too smart for that. Judgments don't attach to the property. I mentioned that earlier, but let me give you a real-life example. It just happened to me last year. So, 35 years ago, I bought a shopping center with a friend of mine. And I insisted on putting the property into a land trust.